Okay, if you've got a senior pet, you know exactly what I'm talking about. That little worry in the back of your mind about the big one, that sudden, scary trip to the vet. We're going to give you a clear, calm roadmap to protect your best friend without totally wrecking your finances. The goal here, to get you a plan before the panic sets in. So let's start with a number, a big one, $6,400. This is at the very heart of our story today. Why? Because that's the real-world cost of a single, out-of-the-blue, middle-of-the-night emergency vet bill. It's a shocking number for sure, but it's a very real possibility when you have an older pet. And that's the thing, isn't it? The true cost, it isn't just the money. It's that gut-wrenching emotional weight of making these huge decisions under so much pressure. Every single dollar sign feels like it's asking you, how much do you really love them? It's just an awful position to be in. Okay, let's really dive into this story, because once you understand how one vet bill can completely change how you think about owning a pet, you're already halfway to making a much, much smarter plan.
You know, this is one of the toughest lessons. Your buddy can seem just a little off in the afternoon, maybe a bit lethargic, and then boom, by midnight, you're in the ICU talking about oxygen cages and overnight critical care. And believe me, the costs ramp up just as fast as their condition does.
All right, so you're thinking, insurance, that's the answer. Well, let's talk about the not-so-fun part, the hidden rules. This is the fine print where so many pet owners get caught completely by surprise, usually right when they need the help the most.
Listen up, because this is the single most important term you have to understand, a pre-existing condition. If a vet notes anything in your pet's chart, even something minor, before your policy starts, the insurance company can, and likely will, refuse to cover anything related to it, forever.
And check this out. This is a perfect example of how tricky this gets. It's called the bilateral trap, and it's as sneaky as it sounds. Let's say your dog hurts their right knee before you get insurance. Well, a lot of policies will then refuse to cover the left knee later on because they consider it the same underlying risk. It's a real gotcha. So you're thinking, I'll just wait until my pet is really old to get insurance? Ah, not so fast. Most insurers have a hard age cutoff. Once your pet hits 10, 12, maybe 14, that door to get new coverage can just slam shut. For good. You can't wait forever. This is so critical to understand. You cannot get a bad diagnosis on Monday, buy a policy on Tuesday, and expect to be covered on Wednesday. It just doesn't work like that. Every policy has waiting periods, usually a few days for accidents, but it can be 2 weeks, even a month for illnesses. And anything that crops up in that window, that's all on you. So let's do the actual math here. When you're staring down that huge, scary bill, how does an insurance policy actually work? How do we get from that big $6,400 number to what you really have to pay? This really shows you the trade-off, right? You're still paying a pretty big chunk, almost $1,700 here. But what the policy does is transform a truly catastrophic, potentially life-altering bill into something that's, well, still a serious expense, but hopefully a manageable one. So what does this stuff actually cost every month? These aren't just made-up numbers. This is a pretty good snapshot. For a 10-year-old dog, you could easily be looking at $100 a month or more. And see that accident-only plan? Yeah, it's way cheaper, but you've got to remember, it won't cover any of those age-related illnesses that are the most likely thing to happen. Okay, so this brings us to the big decision. The question really isn't if you should have a plan, it's what kind of plan. And it pretty much boils down to two main strategies. You either get an insurance policy or you build your own emergency savings fund. And here are the trade-offs, plain and simple. Insurance is awesome because it protects you from that absolute worst-case scenario. But you have that monthly premium, and you might have to fight with them over denials. A savings fund? It's your money. No one can tell you how to spend it. The downside? It can take forever to build up, and one bad night at the vet can wipe it out completely. The crucial thing to get here is that insurance isn't a silver bullet for everyone. Sometimes a savings fund is actually the smarter, more responsible move. Like if your pet already has a bunch of health issues that are just going to be excluded anyway, or if you're on a fixed budget that just can't handle premiums going up every year.
Okay, that was a lot of info, I know. So what now? Let's turn all of that anxiety and all those what-ifs into real concrete action. I'm going to give you a super simple plan you can start on, like, right now.
This is your final takeaway. 4 simple steps. That's it. Write down what you're most afraid of. Be honest with yourself about the absolute maximum you could spend. Get just one real quote online to see what the numbers look like. And then just make a choice. Pick your path. You can do all of this in less time than it takes to watch an episode of your favorite show, and the peace of mind is so worth it. And really, that's what this all comes down to. An emergency is probably not an if, but a when. The only thing you actually have control over is whether you meet that moment with a plan you thought about ahead of time or with just pure panic. The choice is yours.